Welcome to Sales Accelerators, Winning Strategies for Financial Professionals, an educational webinar series that explores the latest tools and concepts to help boost your sales performance and drive business growth. Join us as we analyze trending topics in life insurance, investigate the latest headlines, and discuss solutions to accommodate your clients' unique needs. Please welcome your host, Kurt Fasen, Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Sales Accelerators. My name is Kurt Fasen, Executive Vice President here at DBS, and today what we're going to do is dive into the business market. And we're trying to get at the heart of the business owners, really into their mindset. What are they thinking about? Because as we know, today's business owners are navigating many challenges. And they're turning to financial professionals, just like you, for guidance. Drawing on the insights from the 2026 Principal Business Owner Study, we will explore evolving priorities shaping the financial planning decisions, the risks to the businesses that they're feeling the most, and the complexities to make these challenges harder to solve. So, to walk us through this, I'm joined by Cami Brazelton, Assistant Vice President of Marketing, Benefits, and Protection at Principal. Cami works closely with business owners and advisors every single day and has more than 2 decades of experience working with Principal's team. Cami, so glad you're with us today.
Thanks so much, Kurt. I'm so happy to be here. You know, there's a lot going on in the business market, and it's really a moment where financial professionals can lean in and provide value for their clients.
Well said. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting insights we're going to cover today, and I want to make sure that everybody joining us is going to fully take advantage of what you're going to share. So, before we get started, grab a sheet of paper or take our action webinar sheet that you can download, either way. And I want you to take note of the comments that Cami makes throughout the day. Now, here's the key. You want to be able to see what you can put into action, into motion. What can you move from today's conversation into helping business owners? And remember the rule of 72. If you don't use this information in the next 72 hours, you probably won't. So I challenge each of you to take what you learned today from Cami and put into action. All right, let's get started. What are business owners telling us matters the most to them today, Cami?
Well, Kurt, when we look over almost a decade of doing this research, one thing remains consistent, and that's that business owners tell us that business protection is their number one priority. What's changing is what's sort of fast following behind that, which is a focus on key employee benefits. In fact, that has risen from 7th place a couple of years ago to 2nd place in 2026. And that's the biggest shift we've really seen in the data. You know, we've also seen business owners tell us that their priorities depend on where they're at in their life cycle. So we see newer businesses focused on protecting the owner, like with foundational things like disability, income protection, business continuity. And then as businesses grow and mature, that focus tends to expand. And we see that focus on key employee benefits and also future planning, succession planning, and estate planning.
You know, I think that's great. And it's interesting to me, and probably not too surprising for a lot of you they're watching and listening, that the need to really protect that key employee just keeps becoming more and more important. So let's talk about those key employees. Why do you think, Cami, it's become such a hot topic?
Yeah. Well, 6 in 10 owners told us they're concerned about attracting and retaining top talent. And about half say they're worried about those key employees' financial security. I really think it's because those key employees, they hold critical relationships, the knowledge, the momentum for the business, it's really being driven from them. And business owners know that if they leave, it can disrupt continuity and growth for the business. It's interesting because half of those business owners tell us that their primary goal with putting a key employee benefits plan in place is around retention, but almost half, 49%, tell us it's all because of productivity. And I really think that's not just the productivity driven directly from the key employees, it's also the productivity they sort of inspire with the rest of the organization.
That makes total sense. That they have a rainmaker inside of their organization, and they got to keep that individual motivated so they can motivate others. Um, they that these benefits matter, but are they doing anything about? Are they acting? Are they doing something?
So that's where there's a gap. Um, Key employee benefits rank very high on employers' list of priorities, but only 39% of owners tell us that they offer them. So, but the encouraging part of this is the intent. So, 75% of business owners told us they want to add more key employee benefits. So, that gap creates a pretty great opportunity for financial professionals to help move clients from awareness and kind of thinking about these to action.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a conundrum though, right? They
Yeah.
see this as a big problem, yet only roughly a third, I think you said, actually
Yeah.
doing anything about it. Uh, age-old problems. So let's switch gear for a second now. Um, Another major theme in the study that we looked at was succession planning. Talk a little bit about what you learned about that.
Yeah, succession planning has also really risen, and it's really one of those top tier business priorities now. About 60% of owners that have a succession plan really focus on unplanned events like death and disability. Where there's gaps, but also opportunity, is around planning for those expected transitions like retirement and ownership transfer.
Well, how often, I don't know if the study said this, but how often did the did it say the owners are actually taking time to review the plans? When was the last time they reviewed it? Let's say a succession plan or a strategy if they leave.
Yeah, it's actually more often than we thought, and you might think. 77%, so almost 80% told us that they've reviewed their plan within the last 2 years, which is surprising. But what's interesting is also how their exit strategies kind of vary. So 40% of them told us that they're going to transfer the business to family, but the other 60% say they expect to sell to non family members or to liquidate. Um, Again, it kind of goes into like the age and maturity of the business. As those more mature businesses grow, oftentimes those owners increasingly prefer transitions like to other owners or through ESOPs too.
All right, so that's good. It gives us a little bit of sense of what's going on with the business owners. Let's shift to the folks that are joining us today, Cami.
Yeah.
For a financial professional, for a financial advisor, what's the barrier that's keeping business owners from planning more effectively?
So there's really two big ones that emerged through our research. The first was about 30%, a third of business owners feel like they're too small or too new to plan. So
Hmm.
this presents a very nice way to sort of myth bust with those owners to have conversations about the importance of planning. Um, 1 in 5 say that planning is just too complicated, which is also, probably expected. But what's interesting is 7 in 10, so 70% told us that they are working with a financial professional. Now, that may be from a business perspective, it may be from a personal perspective, but we also asked what those owners are sort of looking for. What do they value in a relationship with their financial professional? Of course, cost played a role. So 28% said cost.
Yep.
Um, But kind of fast following that were two more soft skills. So communication skills came in at 25%. And then also the ability to collaborate with other advisors, which was new. We had not heard that in the past as much. That 19% of employers said that. So I do think that they really value the financial professional's ability to mix, to collaborate with others. That's really rising in significance.
Yeah, and I guess I guess if you're one of the folks that have business owners as clients and you haven't had that type of conversation yet, you're always running the risk that, well, somebody else may have that conversation,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Exactly. Um, there's some really simple conversation starters that can open the door for these kind of conversations. Having a conversation around kind of the what ifs, what if, you were injured or, passed away? How would the business function? That same kind of conversation line of thinking with key employees, if they died unexpectedly, if they had a disability, asking questions about the buy sell agreement. If there's no clear buy sell or operating agreement, what would the owner's family do, or how would the other employees carry on? Those are just really easy ways to kind of transition to these conversations.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they seem very logical and really, when you think about it, these are the questions that really highlight the gaps that a business owner maybe hasn't even taken time to realize they have.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's where, not to put in a plug, but that's where really Principal can help. We can help provide tools, insights. We are small to mid-sized business experts, and solutions to help, everyone on the call, both advisors as well as business owners, kind of navigate through these topics.
And I can just say from experience, because I've worked with some business owners and I've pulled the principal team in, and the professionalism was unbelievable. You partnered with DBS, and together we were able to walk through business valuations, look at the analysis of buy sells, all sorts of very useful things that I think, at least in the situation I was working in, the the business owner was surprised by how much principal can bring to the table.
Yes. I think it goes back to they're often thinking they're too small or they just don't have it yet enough experience yet to have those conversations, and we can partner together to make that easier.
Yeah. So, keep in mind that, DBS has a lot of resources. We have a whole page dedicated out on our website that you can go to for business resources, much of this fueled by Principal and other partners. And we can also put you in touch with the experts there at Principal. Cami, this has been just incredibly insightful. And I just want to thank you for taking time today to join us and really helping us have a glimpse of what's on business owners' minds and how the financial professionals we work with can support them. Any final thoughts from you this morning?
No, thank you. Thank you so much for the time. Like I said, we're really passionate about business owners. You can find all sorts of insights and research on principal.com. And yeah, it was a pleasure talking with you today.
Thanks again. And thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your busy schedule for joining us for another edition of Sales Accelerators. We hope to see you again real soon, but please take time, look at your sheet, and see which business owners do you think you should talk to today, and then let us know how we can help. Take care, everybody.